It's Monday, November 3rd, and a new weather pattern is coming to the US, and it's going to be characterized by a lot of calm weather. Once again, we see that there are no thunderstorms forecast by the Storm Prediction Center, and I think this is something that's going to become quite a bit more common as we go through early November. I think this is going to be the weather pattern that we're going to be experiencing for a bit as we enter one of the calmest parts of the year for thunderstorms. However, this does not mean that there's going to be absolutely no precipitation at all, though a couple of areas that I think we are still going to see some rain is going to be up here in the Great Lakes region and Northeast as we have a front moving through up here. This is just going to bring a band of rain, nothing thunderstormy, though no really gusty winds, even just some rain in some really cold areas. Not really expecting to see any snow with that yet, though it's not quite cold enough, but we are going to see another area of more heavy precip down in parts of the mid-Atlantic, specifically on the North Carolina and Virginian coast, as we are going to have a low pressure system front and warm front complex moving through that's going to bring some rain, likely push off into the Atlantic by around the early to mid afternoon. And then, of course, up here in the Pacific Northwest, very common weather pattern, just more cold and rainy weather up here. Not really expecting to see any snow except in the higher elevations with that system, though. And we were just talking about temperatures. This is going to be the outlook for the country. It's going to be really wonderful weather for anywhere below the pretty much Pacific Northwest, Northern Rockies, and the far northern parts of the US. Everywhere else is going to be anywhere between 70 to around mid 50s for feels like temperatures, except, of course, southern Florida and Miami. Still going to be feeling feels like temperatures of 86. Kind of ironic, but that's just what we see around this time of year, where really the only warm part of the country is in South Florida. Now, as we go into the night, we're going to have a couple of fronts moving through. You can actually almost see that front moving through up here in parts of the Northeast, and it's going to get a little bit chillier. I think some parts are going to see some freezing feels like temperatures, specifically up here in the Northeast and in the higher elevations, of course, but it looks like a lot of the US is still going to just be in that pretty much early to mid 40s feels like temperatures, and this is just something that we're seeing in early November. Not quite cold enough for snow yet and freezing temperatures, but I think as we move into mid and late November, we're definitely going to get there. And something that's kind of bringing this more calm weather pattern right now is going to be this pretty active and low dipping jet stream across the US with really no big kinks. It's just a lowered area of a lot of westerly flow, bringing a lot of cold, dry air, not really giving any storm environments chance to kind of regather themselves and regenerate. So just a lot of cold, dry air, and we're not really seeing any big kinks or big dips like this, which is expected to happen around November 9th for quite a bit, for at least this week. Now, when we start seeing these big dips, definitely think we could see maybe a severe weather risk introduced. And I think even with some of these more areas of just more kind of pronounced flow, I think we could maybe see some snowstorms with these. But until then, where we start seeing these big dips, it's really just going to be some regular precip and maybe some snow. The first system that kind of looks kind of potent isn't going to happen until 2 weeks from now, on around the 17th, where we actually have a negatively tilted trough with a lot of flow down here in the southeast. I wouldn't be surprised to see a genuine severe risk with this as we go into the quote unquote second season for severe weather, which happens around the winter time. And then for our tropical forecast, of course, we just had Melissa go through. But until then, even though hurricane season technically doesn't end until the end of November, I think we're not really going to be seeing that much more activity. It's pretty much over. It's going to be a lot harder for something to get going. Of course, we have the Central American gyre still pumping, and the GFS model is randomly spinning up storms down here. But I think the probability of anything happening there is going to be kind of low.